David Hertel in for Aaron. Well, measles are back. We're up to double digits in the Montreal area alone. This necessitated an update, a live press conference this afternoon at 1 p.m. by Quebec Public Security Head Dr. Luc Boileau, along with Dr. Mylène Boivin, who's responsible for public security in Montreal. So should we be concerned? Let's ask our expert, Dr. Chris Labos, cardiologist with a degree in epidemiology, regular contributor on Weekends with Ken on Sundays at 8:10 a.m. Dr. Labos, what's going on here? First of all, we've been talking about measles. What is exactly measles? What are measles exactly?
Yeah, so measles is a viral infection that causes, fever, sore throat, but a classical measles-like rash, which used to be extremely common, but is now less so because we eliminated measles from this country back in 1998. There were no local measles cases apart from a few isolated outbreaks in some years when people would travel and import cases from overseas. So measles is a viral illness, once very common, no longer so. And the reason why people are concerned and why we're having press conferences about this is because we are, in fact, backsliding. And if we start to see regular measles cases in this country again, we are going to go back to what the status quo was prior to the year 2000 when measles was common and a lot of children were getting sick from a disease that could be entirely prevented.
So I was fascinated to read that these are the first cases in Quebec since 2019, and that also this is tied to the fact that vaccination rates for measles aren't high enough. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. When you have measles vaccination rates above 95%, you achieve herd immunity, which is a term a lot of people heard and were using during the pandemic, often incorrectly. But what herd immunity means is that if you can achieve a high enough vaccination threshold, you eventually have enough people who are immune that they protect the small percentage of the population that can't get vaccinated because of underlying illness or because they're too young or what have you. But because our vaccination rates have dipped under 95%, and not just here in Quebec but across the country, it makes it so that when somebody comes back from overseas with a measles case, they are now able to start spreading it locally. And if enough people are unvaccinated and there's enough people having person-to-person infections, well, that is going to lead to community spread of measles and get us back to the state before we were able to eliminate it.
Now, how serious is it to get the measles? I mean, are there serious consequences to get this infection?
Yes, there are. Now, as with most viral illnesses, many people have a mild infection and are able to recover, but a substantial minority don't. And are people hospitalized for measles? Yes. Do children have severe complications that lead to long-term disability? Yes. Do people die from measles? Yes, they do. We are just so used to not thinking about it, right. Or we haven't seen major outbreaks in so long that many people do not have a living memory of measles in the same way that many people don't have a living memory of polio. So it's easy to minimize something that you've never had to actually experience. And again, while most people are going to be fine, enough people won't that this is a serious enough matter, which is why you're seeing the Director of Public Health having live press conferences, because this is not a good sign for the state of public health in this country.
So when we talk about measles, we're usually thinking about children, but this can affect adults at any age. What if, and I have a texter writing this right now, if you're a senior and you never got the measles vaccine, would this be the right time to get it?
So it's an interesting question because it depends also what you mean by senior, because, everybody thinks that they're young. If you were born prior to 1970, you probably did get measles, even if you don't remember getting it or you're not sure, because it was so common back then. So the general assumption is that anybody born prior to 1970 probably did have measles and is immune. If there is some doubt in your mind about it, you could always check and measure antibody levels in your blood to see if you got measles before. That's rarely necessary in most cases. The real danger here is not in older individuals who probably got measles in their lifetime. It's the younger people who either never got vaccinated or never completed their vaccination schedule and got only one dose instead of the two-dose vaccine. Those are the people who are most likely to get sick and who are also more likely to spread it to people. The last time we had a really big measles outbreak in Quebec was back in 2011, when we essentially had a super spreader event in schools, and that's what led to, I think, nearly 1,000 infections of measles at that time. So it was a pretty big event back then. And if we start having those on a regular basis, that's going to put a lot of strain on our healthcare system.
So I guess we're going to be talking about the same types of questions that were raised during the pandemic and still are being raised. But is there any data to say that the measles vaccine can be life-threatening, or there's some sort of risk in getting your kids vaccinated for measles?
No, and this is sort of the this is sort of the origin story of where that comes from. I mean, for people who don't know who Andrew Wakefield is, he was a physician in the UK. He very much popularized the idea that the MMR vaccine could cause autism. Right. And this is not, that there was scientific debate. He objectively fabricated the data, and a journalist, Brian Deere in the UK, wrote this a series of articles, turned them into a book about how he looked into this and found that many of the things that Andrew Wakefield claimed were just not true. He sort of made up things about the patients and the children that he was supposedly studying. So, I mean, no, and this whole idea of measles being linked to, or the measles vaccine being linked to autism is really not true. There are side effects to every vaccine, of course, but this is not something that we need to care about.
So if you want to get your kids vaccinated or you feel you need the vaccine, how do you get to that?
I mean, honestly, you make an appointment probably if you have a family physician or a pediatrician, make the appointment there. This is part of the routine childhood immunization schedule, so it should be freely available to everybody by making appointments on Clic Santé, the way you would for any vaccination, any vaccination that you have to do. And it's really that. Use the standard appointments that you would do to get a vaccination in the same way that you would for any of the other routine vaccines that you would get for your children.
All right, Dr. Labos. Appreciate your time as always.
All right, thanks. Take care.
Take care. Dr. Chris Labos, cardiologist with a degree in epidemiology, who is also, of course, a regular contributor on Weekends with Ken every Sunday at 8:10 a.m.